For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Threats of an all-out war in the Middle East continue to escalate as Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon have killed 182 people, wounding some 700 others, according to Lebanon's health ministry. Lebanon's Secretary General of the High Relief Commission called Israel's spate of attacks on the country in recent days a form of psychological warfare. Israel says it's targeting Hezbollah, which has fired rockets into the country since Israel waged war in Gaza. That was spurred by Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel that killed some 1,200 people and took some 200 hostages, many of them now dead. IDF, Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson Daniel Hagari, is urging Israelis living near the Lebanon border to flee as both countries escalate threats of an all-out war. Israel estimates some 60,000 Israelis have already been displaced from their homes due to cross-border fighting. In Gaza, Israeli strikes in the last 24 hours have left 24 Palestinians dead, 60 others wounded, according to Gaza's health ministry. Among the dead, a mother and her 4 children aged 4 to 8 when a strike hit a home near the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah, and a girl and her parents were killed in another strike on a school sheltering displaced people in central Gaza. Israel said militants hide out in the school shelters. Israeli troops raided the offices of the news network Al Jazeera in the occupied West Bank Sunday, ordering it shut down for 45 days. This comes after Israeli police shut down Al Jazeera's East Jerusalem offices, seizing equipment and blocking its websites. Israel alleged without providing evidence the newsroom was being used to incite terror and to support terrorist activities. Al Jazeera denounced the unfounded accusations, saying it will not be intimidated or deterred by efforts to silence its coverage. World leaders are gathering in New York for the United Nations General Assembly and wrapped up a 2-day summit of the future where they approved a 42-page pact for the future, a call on 193 member nations to unite and tackle challenges from climate change to artificial intelligence to escalating conflicts and increasing inequity and poverty. Here's UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
Conflicts are raging and multiplying, from the Middle East to Ukraine and Sudan with no end in sight. Our collective security system is threatened by geopolitical divides, nuclear posturing, and the development of new weapons and theaters of war. Resources that could bring opportunities and hope are invested in death and destruction.
Russian strikes in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv have hit high-rise apartment buildings and wounded at least 21 people. 18 buildings were damaged. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strikes and urged Western allies to send more weapons. Zelensky meets with President Joe Biden this week as he pushes for ability to use U.S. and other allies' long-range missiles to strike deeper into Russia, a move Russia's President Vladimir Putin has warned would make the countries a party to the war. Congressional leaders have reached a deal on a short-term spending bill that will fund federal agencies for about 3 months without the SAVE Act attached to it. That's a provision that would have required proof of citizenship when people register to vote. Democrat Senate Leader Chuck Schumer warned it wouldn't pass his chamber.
Now that the MAGA GOP bill has failed, it's clear that only a bipartisan budget bill will keep the government open.
Last week, 14 Republicans joined Democrats in the House in voting it down. The man accused in an alleged assassination attempt of Donald Trump appears in court today. The Justice Department says Ryan Wesley Roth wrote a note months earlier saying he intended to kill the former president. The note addressed Dear World and was dropped off at the home of an unidentified person who contacted federal authorities following Roth's arrest last Sunday. The box also contained ammunition, a metal pipe, and other items. House Democrats have introduced legislation condemning hate speech against Haitians in response to xenophobic rhetoric from the Trump campaign that Haitian immigrants are eating people's pets. Catherine Carley reports.
Congressional Black Caucus Chair Stephen Horsford of Nevada says communities in Ohio are living in fear after Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, spread conspiracy theories about immigrants eating their neighbors' pets.
This racist scapegoating, pitting one group of Americans against another for political purposes, is dangerous and it has no place in our national discourse.
I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
President Joe Biden met with leaders of Australia, India, and Japan over the weekend. FSN's Laura Westbrook reports.
Joe Biden's comments were caught by a hot mic at a summit he's hosting in his hometown of Wilmington, Delaware. He said China continues to behave aggressively, testing us across the region, including in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Straits. While China is dealing with its own economic woes, Biden says Chinese leader Xi Jinping is looking to buy himself some diplomatic space to aggressively pursue China's interest. Publicly, at least, leaders had downplayed the idea that the summit's focus is on Beijing, but Biden's comments show that China continues to loom large. Laura Westbrook, Hong Kong.
I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.